Hello there, YouTube. That's some pretty impressive skies right there. And although the threatening look of that, there's no chance of rain until late this afternoon, or actually this evening. So the weather changed, but it's definitely supposed to rain over the weekend. I think it just got kind of pushed forward a little bit, pushed out the way. Crazy. Feels great out here now. It's 37 degrees this morning, and it's 43 now, so I've only gained 6 degrees. But the clouds tend to kind of mellow out the temperatures. Oh, Mama's talking to a cat over there. All right, let's head to the Southland. Almighty. 55 degrees, partly cloudy. Kind of crammed in because everybody's all wedged in here. It is moaning.
Yeah.
Mama?
Yes.
We made it to Thursday. How about that?
We did.
Heck yeah. We got one to do because we got our whole thing with the range tomorrow.
Yep. Our stoves tomorrow.
Yep. Well, Mama,
Yes,
let's go in there and bust her out.
All right.
All right. Have yourself
have a good day.
Yeah,
Sorry.
you do the same thing. Love you. See you. Bye.
I love you.
Bye-bye now. All right. Let's finish this water pump thing up. So, first off, you get the seal in. And then using this Dow Corning 111. Don't worry about spending the money for this stuff. I've been using this since 2008. That single tube. Lasts forever. So anyway, I use silicone spray on the seal, and that helps drives the seal in, makes everything slippery. Then, as you know, silicone is a rubber preservative, so it'll actually make that seal stick in the bore. Then you need to very carefully, using a brake and parts cleaner, so make sure all that silicone's gone out of the bore. And then you're going to run the mechanical seal in there, which is also the drive shaft for the impeller. And you want to take that Dow Corning and run a bead of that Dow Corning around there. Then you want to put some on the shaft, because when you go past the holes for that locating pin, you can nick the seal. So I just take a little straw, take some Dow Corning, and I get the inside of that bore of the seal. So the seals are nice and wet. And then, I just run a little on the shaft itself, so it's wet all the way through. Just very slowly, especially going around the top side of that it slowly goes through the seal, and just slowly move it as you're going down. And then you have this tool. This is actually an old tool from the 80s. It's a Honda tool. I purchased this for doing CX500 water pump seals and the TRX 250R ATV or ATC and TRX water pump seals. Honda uses a mechanical seal literally identical to this, and this thing will wrap around the inside of that bore and hold it perfectly flat so that you can seat that seal in, and it'll seat in, and that lip of that seal will ride right on the outside here. So let me accomplish that right quick. I'll come back and show you. Oh, another thing I do too is I dab a little assembly lube in the bore on the other side. You can see it's got a hole in it that it'll splash up oil into it and keep that shaft lubricated on this side. But and then I use assembly grease or oil in all the bearings that go through, everything that goes through. And then I'll clean these up, and I'll put it on all these shafts, and so that everything just slides on there nice and smooth. Plus, I still got all the chore of cleaning the gasket material off on this side too. Need to have it clean. There's a good view of the lower rear, and that's one of them. The other one's on the other side of the exhaust that's holding that those highway pegs on. I've only seen those. I think they just quit selling them like right away, because Everybody that had them complained about them because it makes the bike buzz. It's bolted directly to the engine, and they just buzz. Great big thick metal that comes all the way out to here. Like I say, it's just buzzing like a tuning fork. You know, well, you heard that peg that was a little loose, how much it rattled that peg. Well, you sense that through the foot pegs and everything else. It was just a bad design. There was a few of them sold, and then everybody bought the kind that kind of used the outer bolts of the bodywork, and I put them out there, and they were nice and smooth, and that's what everybody ended up using. So let me get the seal in here, and go on to the assembly part of this thing, get it all back together. I'll try to keep the dadgum gimbal so it's facing the right direction today. It's just a little postage stamp sized screen on the back here, and I'm used to just pointing and shooting, so I point my hand where a phone or a handheld camera, a GoPro would face. Well, the gimbal does different things. You have this ability to manually adjust it up and down, so I just need to manually set it in a way that it gets there. When I was talking about this stuff, most of the time the gimbal was too high. I was talking about the water pump gasket, which is one of those flat seals, and the outer clutch gasket, cover gasket, which is also one of those flat seals. This is the coolant drain on the other side for the cover, and this is that one, and it is this one bolt. It was the upper one here, and that works for a crank lock as well, where you can slide something in there and you lock the crank down. It goes through, this is this hole here, and there's a hole in the crank. You can see one of the crank weights showing up right there, but this hole goes through. It's a long tool, like a dowel pin type of thing with a pointy end, and that's how you lock it on top dead center. I forget if it's front or rear bore, but it locks on one, and that's how you time your, precisely time everything, your cams and stuff. And yeah, it's a trick when you have to adjust valves on this, especially on the rear, because in between the cams is this, looks like a balancer wheel that's spinning up there. And I think it serves as a balancer, and it's a hollow pipe, but it has two cutaways. And what that does, it's a crankcase breather for these things. I think I got all of it. It might be covered up enough you can't see it over here. Yeah, pretty much. There's where the crankcase breather comes out of the head. So what it does, the centrifugal force of that balancer spinning around, the crankcase pressure goes into that. Well, it's spinning physically throws the oil off. And the theory is it works as a balancer, works as an exit for the crankcase, and it stops the oil from going up the breather tube into the air box. Well, when you overfill those things, it overpowers the balancer up there, and it literally makes the motor vibrate. And this guy was exactly a quart over, and it will make the motor vibrate more than normal because it overpowers that. It's a dry sump. It should only have so much wherever, but it ends up too much oil up top, and they will vibrate, and it will push oil into the air box. And you end up, if you ride them, Canyon XT, when you ride them too hard, you're not going to be able to see it. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to see it. It'll start leaking out of the air box, and just, well, the first place it leaks is right there where that hose is, and that actually kind of looks a little wet. Wish I had that cover off. You can see a lot of wetness right there, but I don't know if that's valve cover leaking or that breather leaking. It has an Oetiker clamp, but if it gets enough oil, it hides out inside there, and it wheezes out, and just everything just gets oily and nasty. That's kind of the way these motors run anyway. It's just the way they were. Like the KTMs always did it, but it was easy to spray them off and clean them right quick. and this is the breather for the tank. And even though that looks wet, it doesn't have. It's just a regular, pinch clamp thing. It doesn't. There's no pressure there, not like up here. Anyway, I could talk about this thing all day long. I don't know why I keep talking about all the twins, because they all but don't exist anymore. But as you see, they still do. Still, people own them and enjoy them enough that they spend money on them. So they're just things you got to look out for. And things like this seal, that gray seal. There was a black one, then a brown one, and then the gray one. And then when the gray one came out, they just don't come back. I mean, I've never ever replaced a water pump seal that I pulled it apart and it had a gray seal in it. They either had the original black or the second brown, and that's it. So yeah, I think it was 2013, or actually maybe even after, I don't know, because there's still a ton of them around when the 1330s first came out. There's the oil pressure switch that literally leaks internally and literally comes out the electrical thing here. It's just a ground. It just, when it sees oil pressure, it creates a ground and it says, okay. Or maybe it opens it. I don't know if it's a normally shut or normally open switch. One way or the other. As soon as she fires up, it gets crankcase pressure. It knows that it's she's alive and has oil pressure, and off she goes. This is how I appear to not get nothing done during the day. This is all sitting where I was sitting here almost an hour ago. Got an interruption with a police bike. He, which is weird. He's leaking. It's leaking from that inner seal that goes around the spark plug hole. It's in the, it's a seal between the case and when a spark plug hole goes through, and it's pushed down and forward. There's no damage to the cover visible, but he's ripped whatever was plugged in here off, and it's been down on that side, but nothing. Only thing I can figure is maybe he came off and either kicked it with his foot or kneed it. Ouch, that would hurt. But something made that cover move, and I cleaned up the mess. It doesn't look like it might have been temporary, so I loosened and retorqued all the bolts. They were definitely not at 10 Newton meters. I just had a little short hand wrench with a T50 on it, and man, they just they came loose really easy. So maybe he just unsettled something, and but the tension on those things, it has a boss at the end that bolts into the head, so that doesn't make any sense. But anyway, I ran the codes on it, had a bunch of miscellaneous things that happened once, and it says it never reoccurred again. There was things, it says the driver was not notified, had a clutch switch. There was some adaptive value wasn't met. That can happen if you got a low battery and you hit the starter and it goes boom, boom. You get that little thing and it drops it collapses the CAN bus for a moment there. Whatever they were, they're all singular, happened once, and then it's cool. It says that it over the last whatever cycles, it hasn't reoccurred again. So it could have all been related to the bike going down or whatever happened to it. Because what's weird, I don't see any other damage. He's got some scuffs on the bars, but those guys are doing stuff all the time. There's no sign of impact to the clutch lever. It just could have been, like I say, one of those things where he might have had the clutch pulled when he started it and then went boom. Anything like that can kick those things off, as long as they don't stay active. I see them like I did. There was nothing active when he brought it in, but I can see it after the fact. Spyders do the same thing. They store those occurred codes. This is one of the new ones with the big old TFT and LED lights up front. The nice ones. He's a really cool guy too, and he's up there. I think he's good friends with our sales manager. when he has a moment. I think he catches up shooting the bull with buddies. I love all this fancy stuff they got going on here now. Somebody's blowing me up text. That could be the service writer. It scared me when your credit card company texts you. That's usually not a good sign. It said alert. Well, it's an alert saying that you have a minimum payment coming up soon. Have you noticed when, finances in the country get slow, you get people reminding you now of stuff? Harley was going through a thing. They were driving me absolutely nuts, blowing me up over the loan on Flirty and the Pan America. I went through Harley's, Eagle Mart, Harley Financial Services, but blowing me up. Your payment's coming up. Your payment's coming up. It's like, dude, you look at my record. I never ever miss a payment. I pay all my bills on the 15th and the 25th, the night that we get paid. And sometimes they're like a couple of days over. As long as you're within 10 days, you won't even get a late charge. Some I pay early, and one of them, I think it's Flirty, I end up paying early, and they're even blowing me up about that. But they finally stopped doing that. I don't know what's going on. But things like the credit card, I've had that Discover card, Jesus, 10, 15 years, something like that. And never have I got alerts. You got an upcoming payment. What's Mitch doing up there? Oh, he's spitting over the wall. Oh, yuck. Poured out some, I'm sure that stuff tastes good. They have these little dinners and stuff. We weren't allowed, the whole time I was doing, you were never allowed to eat at the counter. But the smell these things put off smells like garbage. It does not smell edible. And it just stinks the whole area up. Man, we'd probably get written up for doing that. And now, nobody even cares. It's just like, what's the world coming to? Crazy. So, here I sit in the exact same spot. Let me go over there, at least get the seal in there. All right. Look how nice and smooth that lays, that lip of that thing in the case. That's why you need that tool. So what you do from here, in this left-hand threads, is you use it's right-hand threads. That means the pumps run in a different direction, I thought. So, see the two holes, the small holes? Use a pair of snap ring pliers, and you reach in there and grab that. Then you use the shaft or the hole that the pin and washer go on that holds that. You just run a little dowel through it, and it's spring loaded, so I can stick the dowel in there because it's a mechanical seal, and you can see it's spring loaded, and it will be under tension when because the washer goes first, then the pin, then it slides down and actually clicks into that pin. It's captured inside there, and you just hold it with a dowel, and it's flip the thing over, reach and hold it's just like a drift tool, and just hold it, snug it down. It's under reverse pressure, so it'll never come loose. You don't have to put Loctite or anything like that on. You be really careful using Loctite on something like this, because a lot of Loctite has CA in it, and it can make the plastic of this impeller brittle. For obvious reasons, you don't want that to ever happen. But no Loctite. And just the act of it running is turning in a direction that it's forcing it on all the time. So, I'll get that down here right quick. Easy peasy. Just a little dowel to hold it. Snap ring pliers, reach around, grab it. Turns nice and smooth. Put a little drop of assembly lube in there to let it soak on that. I wiped the inside of it before I slid the thing on anyway. But this will sit upright, and that will that'll be the first oil it gets, that good assembly lube. And of course the engine running is gonna push stuff around, put it where it needs to be. Now just need to clean the gasket area up. In here you can see around the water jacket up there, the gasket tends to stick the hardest up there, and you can see pieces of it all around there. Clean that up. I put the assembly lube on all the shafts like I told you, and anything that goes into something, it all gets assembly lube. And put a new gasket on there, and off to the races you go. You gotta be careful putting it on because you have to time the cover sideways to clear the exhaust, and then turn it back straight and then slide it on. So how I put the gasket on, I use Gasgasinch and put a light coating of that around the edges. Everybody calls it Gucci Gal. I don't know where that Gucci Gal came from, but the only thing you have to time when you're putting the cover on is move the water pump shaft back and forth until the gears mate. There's no other gears in the cover, you just gotta get that lined up. But see, I'll loop that good. These plain bearings good. And I lube the shafts like I just said. And we let that gasket cinch sit on there for a little bit, and it tacks up. And it won't stick to that, it won't bond where you gotta scrape it off. It seals absolutely perfect. It's gas and water resistant. And it's expensive for these little bottles. I got all my pliers dangling out here. I had to move stuff to get the stuff. Gasgasinch. Gasket sealer and belt dressing. Worth its weight in gold. Kind of spendy, but can last for years and years and years. This one's probably, I don't know, 8-10 years old. It starts to get tacky and less liquidy, and you end up having to throw it away long before you use it up. But it does work good as a belt dressing too on my old cars. I actually used it. My dad had that stuff around, and I don't think he ever used it for gasket. I think he used it for belts. You slob a little bit of that on there, let them run, it works its way around, your squeaking belt stops. You don't have to do that anymore with the serpentines. Everything has changed. Yet another interruption. I would open up my Gasgasinch. It's dead when it gets, you can technically use it, but it's really hard to use. Now it looks like Edelbrock it's Gasgasinch. That's what it's supposed to be like. Nice and watery. And you can, flow it around there very easily. And you just need a light coating on it to get it all ready, and should be good to go. So, whew, it's got a strong smell to it too. That's how I can tell that one's bad, because the strong smell's gone with this one. That's a bummer. Anyway, back to her. How's that? That looking pretty? Don't forget that one back bolt. I already did that. Got the exhaust all clamped down. Definitely don't forget your starter mounts. That starter will come straight out of there without that in there. New banjo bolts. All new gaskets throughout, no rings. New water pump, obviously. And the new seal for the water pump cover. I use a waterproof grease and get the seal wet and seal it all in there. And you can see that corrosion look that it has on it. So that grease will help preserve that too. That's that rough casting I was telling you about. How close I can get to that and you still see it. It's a real, that's just the way the outside of it is as well. That's the gasket surface area. They're kind of rough with it. Make sure you put the Rotax facing the right direction. I did a set of points on a CV750 K2 or something like that. Forget what it was, 77, 78, somewhere around in here. It was an older, I think it was a 77. Somehow or another, lost my mind and put that cover in there upside down. It said Honda upside down. That guy, you've never seen anybody so mad. Fire engine red mad. Oh yeah, and you got to pull because the cover will hit this. So make sure you put this is your rubber motor mount, but it's an Allen. I think it's a 6mm, 8mm maybe, and then a 15mm nut. And you just tighten it tight. She'll make a lot of rumbles if you forget that, because the cover will hit that bolt. And the way you go in, you just got to take it all the way out, because if you just try to loosen it so the head of the bolt's missing, it'll still hit the nut as you're gyrating around. Everything's lubed, torqued down. Just gotta unravel my little mess here. This one's holding the evap canister out of the way. You can see where I unbolted the mount that holds the evap canister, so it gives me all that room underneath there. And let's get the radiator back down and on, and bolt everything up, tighten it up. Need to clean the oil mess that drained out of the clutch cover. It just drizzles around there. I'll get in there with a towel, clean all that up. The old radiator, she plops right there. Don't forget that, because I route that way out of the way. That is the vent hose for the evap canister. They used to have a little thing that just kind of hung over, and yeah, that was dangerous. It was expelling fumes right in the engine area. All it'd take is a leaky spark plug wire or something to yeah, you can imagine the outcome. But I hide these wires out of the way. I might as well just take those out, because it's just a radiator now. But I get all that stuff, get your oil pressure switch hooked back up, and this loops around and gets it kind of goes upside down. That's your fan coupler that runs your fan. I think that's loose enough. I can go ahead and get you down here in the vicinity, because it's going to go backside of the water pump, and then it'll zip tie to a hose, and you stick it in there in that little grommet. But I just leave stuff out of the way right at the moment. At least it's free and I can get it out. There we are. Then a water pump. That's just logistics now. Coolant, oil, then ACS pump. There's more stuff to do. Well, hello there, you two. Made it home safely. Clouds are coming in, kind of like last night, but the rain never came.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be coming today.
It's supposed to.
But I think it said that yesterday too. So we get up and it's sunshine.
Yeah.
So I got an email from Home Depot, and it's supposed to be between 11 and 3 is the predicted time. So it'd be nice. Get her stove back.
Mm-hmm.
Mama and Christy, they like doing their baking and stuff.
Yes.
The bad thing, Christy was right in the middle of doing her. Oh, I'm telling you, this girl should be a chef. Sell this stuff.
Oh, man.
Her
cookies.
chocolate chip cookies. Man, they're like no other. Holy moly, they're good.
Yeah.
So I think you freeze the dough or something like that?
Yeah.
So she got one little small batch, and that was it. But on that, we're going to bounce.
Alrighty. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. We really do appreciate it. We will talk to you tomorrow. Same smoke time, same smoke channel. Don't forget to give her a thumbs up. And you guys have a wonderful Friday or Saturday.
Heck yeah. All right. Appreciate you watching.
Yes.
Bye-bye now.